Hey there, hola, welcome to my YouTube channel. So if you're new, please consider liking, subscribing. If you're learning guitar and you're a newbie, this is the right place for you to come through, and I want us to talk, that one-on-one kind of giving tips on guitar. So without going any further, let me start with practice. So practicing your guitar is very important. You hold your guitar in the right position, and then if, let's say, there's a song that you actually like, practice that until you're good at it. The more effort you put in, the more good you are. I know that when you're starting out, there's a lot of missing where you're actually playing something and then you just miss a lot of notes, even chords. Maybe you're having a lot of problems. The only way to deal with that is to practice. You don't see these people who are actually big out there just becoming good from nowhere. No, they actually practice. It doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter how much of a professional he is, but trust me, they practice before they actually go out. That's one. So for two, I've noticed, especially with me when I'm actually teaching someone guitar, I've noticed there's this thing where they actually like, I show them something. Say, for example, I'll show them maybe just the way I'm moving from one chord to the next. The first thing I see them doing is they want to copy my speed. I've been doing this for some time, so I always tell them, start at your own pace. Start slow. If I'm teaching somebody, let's say, for example, I'm doing, let's say it's just a scale, a minor pentatonic scale. If I'm actually doing that at this speed that I'm moving, and then you just started this week learning guitar, trust me, you won't move that fast. So the best thing you can do is move slow. There's somebody banging. I think they're nailing something. Yeah. So you start slow. So what you do is, instead of you moving at that speed that I just showed you, you move slow. I know somebody who actually say this is very boring, but it's not boring. It is a very good way to actually teach your muscle memory. You actually be able to do this without even you thinking that much, because your brain will actually just know that we are doing this. I don't know if you've ever noticed when you're playing maybe even a game, you're playing a video game, there's a certain point that you actually reach where you're just doing things. You just say, you know what, I want to do this. It's like, in fact, a basic walking. You just tell yourself, I want to move from here to there, and then the body does the rest. You don't even think of the secondary stuff that you have to move your foot from here, putting it there. It actually just goes into your memory. That's what we're trying to do here. Okay, so let's move on. So here's another thing that I've also noticed. Avoid looking at your fingers. Say, for example, you learn, say, the E minor chord, and then the next thing you learn maybe the C. So I've noticed this from a lot of people when they're just newbies. What you actually do is, instead of just, you put your fingers first, and then when you're moving to the C chord, there's actually this issue where you start putting your fingers one, and then this is where you actually stretch your neck now. You're actually looking at this so that you see exactly where you put your... So that is not a very good habit. You need to train your muscle memory. So what is going on here is that you always be slow. When you're playing an actual song, you won't have that time to actually start putting your fingers one by one. You just need to master the shape. So if there's this exercise I used to do when I was starting out. So what you do is you play the E minor, and then look at this. You lift your fingers just a little bit high, and then you push them back. Up, back. Up, back. That will actually help you with your muscle memory. It will actually help a long way. And then when you go to the C, you do the same thing again. You put your fingers in the form of a C, and then you start. You move up. Don't go too far, just close by. then put them back. So just like that, you keep doing that. Trust me, it will actually help you. Then even when switching, you also do the same thing. You actually switch and then try to avoid looking at this. So you just try and put the fingers with your eyes closed, and then you do that. It will actually help a lot. So you switch and then you go back and look if where you've put. So you look when after a long time, that's when you actually look at your fingers, because this will actually help you with the fluent timing. Okay. Here's another thing. I've practiced difficult chords. So I've noticed this thing where people like to be in the comfort zone. So they are there and then they've learned the chords A, B, C, D, and so on. So they know those. And then there comes a time when, let's say for example, you're learning Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti, Do. So it's that Do, Re, Mi, then Fa, So. There are bar chords there. Would you want to? So instead, if you're always in your comfort zone, instead of playing F bar chord, G bar chord, you actually be stuck with. It's not a bad thing, but it's just move yourself out of the comfort zone. Eventually, just put yourself with, you know, try to feel as a pro. You know, make yourself feel good. So. Say for example, I just put bar chords there just for the sake of explaining, but you can always put the F and the G, and then there are cases where, like, let's say you put your A minor and then there's a diminished chord. So how do you hold that diminished chord? It's a complicated chord, so you need to know it. So for those who don't know the diminished chord, it's something like this, which is 2nd fret A, 3rd fret D, 4th fret G, and 3rd fret B. So that's the diminished chord B, that is B diminished chord. So you learn some of those, because maybe one time you'll find a song, maybe they're saying, you know, you have to play the C sharp. Then how do you do it? Because definitely, yeah, you know your C here, but how do we make it sharp? You see? So you need to learn. So you can either do that to make it a C sharp, or if you want, you can actually learn the bar chord form and do that, make it a C sharp. Okay, that's about practicing difficult chords, because it will actually help you a lot. If you actually reach somewhere, it doesn't matter what kind of chords they'll actually give you. You just play them. It doesn't matter if you maybe on YouTube you find, because I've noticed a lot of people actually do that. You like a song so much and you want to play it, and then you find there are 7th chords and stuff like that, and then you just avoid it. You just say, you know what, this is too difficult, so not for me, and then you leave the song. Try, push yourself a bit, okay? Oh, here's another thing. So when practicing, sitting down is very comfortable, so try to practice while standing up. So get yourself a belt. You put your belt around, and then you stand up, and then you try and play as much as possible while you are standing, because that when you actually go and you're on stage, you won't, it's not all the time that you actually sit. There are cases where you have to be standing, maybe moving around, or I don't know, you can just be still, but still standing, and then you play. That will actually help you a lot. If you actually find people in the streets, you won't say, I want to get a seat and sit down. No, definitely you just start playing while you're standing, so that will actually help. So kick that chair back and stand up, then try and practice a song. Just play, jam to one of those songs you like, and see if you can actually do it. Okay, so the other one is I always tell my students, if somebody comes to learn guitar from me, because I don't have a lot, I don't have another pair of these, I actually have just one. So yes, I'll teach them, then I actually give them just there to practice with me. But the idea is, get your own guitar. That will actually help you a lot, because once you learn, even when you're learning on YouTube, definitely you need your own guitar. So what the idea is here is, my point is, start with an affordable guitar. So don't look at people on YouTube, for example. There are people with very expensive gear out there, very good guitars, very expensive. So you don't actually copy exactly what they have. Get an affordable guitar that sounds good for you and play it, because it's not the gear that actually makes you a better guitarist. It's actually the practice. You can find somebody with a very cheap guitar and then they are very good at playing because they practice. That's the way it works. So start with an affordable guitar. Don't go out and get the most expensive guitar that will actually, after 2 weeks, maybe you even lose interest in carrying it. I've seen people do that. It's not a very good habit though. Okay. So practice palm muting. So there are times where I'm actually playing, let's say, so there are two ways actually that I've noticed, which right now I can't think of a song that I'm actually palm muting. Okay, so there are two ways that I actually palm mute. Here, I can actually put the whole hand here, which is not a very good idea, I should tell you, because then you actually lose your form. The best is that's why it's called palm muting. You use your palm. So you play. So you can actually palm mute with your palm properly. Or there's this other idea that I actually have where instead of actual palm muting like this, what I actually do is I lift my fingers just a little bit here. So I squeeze like that and then I release. So notice if I release like this, if I play, but once I squeeze them, so you just, you know, you can pick one that you actually like. So there's that, or there's this, or the problem with this is you lose your form. Say for example, if you're playing something like this, it simply means when I palm mute like this, my fingers have gone way far from what I was actually playing here. So meaning when coming back, there's a huge possibility that I might miss. So what you do is you keep them close. That's why we use this. So you palm mute with this. So that my fingers go far. If I palm mute like this, I'm still here, so I know exactly where my fingers are going to go. Okay? So learn bar chords. That's another thing, because bar chords will open a whole new universe for this stuff, for chords. So because what you actually need to know is, first, before you learn bar chords, is learn the open first. The open chords, learn them, then after that advance to the bar chords. Because there are things like, let's say for example, we usually start with bar chords like this. So if you see this shape is the E minor, or the E, sorry, this is the E chord. But what's going on here is I just moved it and I moved the whole bridge up here and I barred it. So if you actually look at this, we have E like this, and then this is the bridge here. So this is E. So if I move this a half step, which becomes F, so it's the same shape, just moving it around. So you see, I would have more problems actually moving this shape around if I didn't learn the E first. Because bar chords, you can actually do it in any other way that you want. Say for example, you're holding the C. If you're holding C like this, so you see it's the same shape, the way you hold it, like all the time, but instead I'm just using my pinky, my index, or my middle finger and my ring finger. So you see, if you actually look at this, meaning I'm barring here, which is the bridge. So if I actually move the whole thing one whole step, it becomes D. So you need to learn bar chords as much as possible, but first learn the open so that it actually helps you with the finger flexibility. You can actually do all that. Okay, so another thing is put your guitar where it's visible. So put it where it's open, like a place where you usually pass, or even just alongside the bed, somewhere that you actually see it all the time, so that every time you look at it, you have that urge to actually practice. Because the moment you put it in a bag, you won't be seeing it. It's not there. So you actually have to remind yourself that, oh, I have to practice, which is not a very good idea. You might forget easily. So the best is put it there so that you can always see it, and then just say, you know what, I need to practice. You see the guitar, I gotta practice. Okay, so the last one is practice often and not longer. So you're better off practicing every day for the whole week for 10 minutes than you practice for one good whole hour in 1 week. You practice for 1 day in a week. That actually won't help you much. So what you actually do is practice often. Even though you give yourself 5 minutes in a day to practice, that will actually change a lot. Your fingers will actually learn more. The muscles will actually jump into it. You know, there's this thing they say you need to practice for what, 4,000 hours, or is it 10,000 hours or something like that. So definitely for you to reach that, it doesn't mean no, in a week maybe I sit in 1 day and practice for 2 hours. Yes, you practice for 2 hours, but it's just 1 day, which won't actually help the muscles remember much. But if you practice it every day, you cut that 2 hours, you divide it by 7, definitely you have more in your muscle memory, and you actually learn even more every day than just that 2 hours. Okay? All right. So, oh, by the way, last tip, there's a video I've seen on YouTube that actually says practice in the dark. That actually helps a lot. Try it. So you go in the dark, turn off. Closing your eyes also helps, but the problem is you might cheat, because if you close your eyes, it's your brain. So you actually open your eyes and see what's going on there, what's going on. But what you're actually supposed to do is just turn on the light to actually reduce the chances of you cheating. So that will actually help you. Anyway, we've reached the end of the video. So if you have any other comment you want to contribute to how you can actually improve tips, please leave a comment in the comment section down below. You can like, subscribe to my channel for me to actually make more of these videos. And I think that's it. Bye bye.